Tear it up, I'll tear it up. Well, I'm getting situated. Anybody have a praise you'd like to share? Now, you just sung out. Some of you even clap your hands. Think I heard a little stomping. It's okay to give the Lord some praise. From offering praise come more praise. That's what the Bible says. Doesn't it feel like sometimes following the Lord is just as easy as walking, chewing gum? I mean, it just comes so natural. Everything just flows. And then there are those days following the Lord just seems like it's an assault on everything that we're pursuing. We're not home yet. We celebrate that we're going home, but we are on a journey. And with that journey comes some difficult times, some challenging times. There is some fear. There is things pulling us, tugging us. The Bible tells us that there is a way that Solomon, who we're going to look at, in fact, you can go ahead and be turning your Bible. We're going to go and look at some of Solomon's writing, and the writings are going to be at the end of his life. Solomon was called one of the wisest men. We're going to be looking at Ecclesiastes, but I'm going to quote you something from Proverbs. Go to Ecclesiastes 1. The Bible tells us that there is, in fact, it was Solomon inspired by God in Proverbs, and he wrote this several times in Proverbs, so I could give you several verses that are identical. It says that there's a way that seems right before you. There's a way that seems right before man, before me. But it doesn't lead to life. It's not the Lord leading. That is our deceitful heart that is leading, and it leads us astray. In fact, it says that it leads to death. And then it goes on and says that there is another way. There's a way of the fool that it too seems right. It seems right in their own eyes. In their own eyes. Let me read you something. Go ahead and hold your place in Ecclesiastes. Let me read you something from Numbers. You're welcome to turn with me. I'm going to just read 2 verses there, and then we'll jump into Ecclesiastes. I don't even have it marked. I'm sitting here running my mouth, and it reminds me of something in Numbers 15:39. Ready to get into the Word? Say amen. Amen. Listen to this, reading from the King James. King James says in Numbers 15:39, and it shall be unto you for a fringe that you may look upon it and remember all the commandments, that you can look into me, that this is coming of the Lord, and you can do them. He gives us the strength of the power of the resurrection to do what we couldn't normally do on our own. But he says, and that ye seek not, say seek not. Seek not. That ye seek not after your own heart, that you seek not after what your own eyes see, but after which ye used to go a whoring. That's a pretty powerful word. This comes from the King James, but it's letting us know that if we're not careful, we don't start seeking Him and His things, that we start seeking His things for us. But it says that ye may remember. Say remember. Remember. The Lord wants you to remember. In Ecclesiastes, Solomon keeps telling us, remember your Creator. Not just His created things. Remember. And it says also in Numbers that you will remember and do all my commandments and be holy unto your God. In Deuteronomy 6, we won't take time to look at that, but in Deuteronomy 6, it tells us not only are we to remember, but we're to persistently and diligently pass those on to our children. But before you go to bed, when you wake up, before you take off for the day, and even when you're out on your day, constantly keep reminding them of who God is. That He is for us. He's not against us. He's not wanting to take away your joy. He's wanting, as you already seen, He wants to fill you with His joy. See, that sometimes there's a misperception of God, and sometimes we get caught up in that. That the Lord is leading me here, but I don't want to go here. I want to go there where the others are. So I'm going to go over here, and sometimes God isn't there. He's still. So what do? Once we recognize that, we don't run from that. We simply pause and confess. Lord, I was running after my things, not after you who have given me all things. Okay, as we start Ecclesiastes, I don't know what your background in the Bible is, but Solomon was a wise man. Some of you guys in Sunday schools, you studied some of that last week in Sunday school. But stay with me on this. He was a wise man, but he made some foolish choices at the end. I mean, this man was given wealth. Bill Gates would look like a pauper compared to Solomon. I mean, he had wealth and he was a good leader. He was a good king. He kept peace while he reigned for many years. Isn't that what we're looking for? A leader that can give us peace and give us wealth, that can boost the economy. He did that, and he did that well. But amongst his pursuits, and you can make excuses for him that he had several voices coming, he got off from the Lord and started pursuing his thing. He got off of the path of the Lord. This is Solomon, one of the wisest men we know, certainly the wisest of the Old Testament. So what he's done at the end of his life, at the back end, he's written this for me and you. And it's showing you what life is without God. Oh, the riches were there. The kingdom was there. But he was yearning for what he had when he was in his youth. I was blessed to be able to speak to our youth this morning, and probably should have read some of Solomon's teaching to you. You can hear it now, you can read it later, about how he pleads even for our youth. Right now, you're strong, you have your enemy, or your energy. You do have an enemy too, but you don't have to worry about the enemy. He's taking care of that. That you can walk in the power of the resurrection, and he can make much of himself through you. So this is written not only to the young, it's written to the old. Because he reminds us, hey, some of us, we're at that place where the hair is turning gray. Some of us, the hair is already falling out. It talks about the grinders of our teeth. I mean, I've already busted up a tooth. Just eating popcorn. And so I'm getting there. The eyes are what they used to be, and he's reminding us, you're there. He's saying, well, I'm here, and I'm regretting that I didn't go back to my yearning, my love, my pursuit for the Lord that I had when I was in my youth, that I started pursuing other things. Anyone like to read novels? I mean, I hope you stay in the Word of God, but anyone like to read novels? All right, now we're in church, so be honest. Do you ever go ahead and go to the last chapter of the end, just to see is she doesn't? I've done that. I've done that many times. I'll go to the back. Do I really want to spend time reading this? So let's go to the back and see if I really want to read it. And then I'm like, hey, definitely. And then sometimes I'm like, no. You know what Solomon does in Ecclesiastes? He gives you the ending at the beginning. Get this. The words of the preacher. And there's some good preachers. And there's some preachers that are doing it for the wrong reasons. There are some preachers that make it about themselves, not about the son. But he introduces himself as the preacher man, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Now get this. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher. Vanity of all vanities. All is vanity. What profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? Now the Bible says that he has put eternity in our heart. That there is a yearning in our heart that we start pursuing to fill that void that only he can fill. You're getting nervous that I'm going to sing, aren't you? Appreciate you coming up and singing with us, brother. I can't sing. I get up there and I'm not a singer. I wish I was, and I promise I'm not going to sing. But you know what? I didn't make it to choir practice this past Wednesday. Had no idea what we were going to sing this morning. And then as I attempted to, now get these lyrics. This is what we just sung, and you guys did too. This is your offering. At Calvary, years I spent in vanity. Years I spent in vanity and pride, caring not that my Lord was crucified. Okay, now some of us are younger, some of us have just tasted what the gospel is truly about, that He is for me, that He loves me, and that I wasn't pursuing Him. I was an enemy to Him. I was pursuing my things, not His things, and He opened my eyes and my hearts, and I am His and He is mine, and we're just at that place where it's just good, it's sweet. We just want to follow Him the rest of our days and just submit to Him and pursue Him more. And then some of us are at the back end saying, God, I wish I would have. I mean, I was there and then I let go. And that's where Solomon is. This is the wisest man ever. But at the back end, he's saying, guys, look, I know you're searching. I know you're longing. I know you have a yearning. I know you realize that there is more. But I'm telling you, a lot of you are pursuing the riches. And he's saying, I've got them. And it's not that. And I know you're sitting there saying, try me, Lord. I can do better than Solomon. Just try me, give me an opportunity. But he's saying that's not it. And I didn't mean to share this, but I'm going to. Work for Ed Miller for years and years and years. And when the Lord called me to pastor this church, I offered my resignation. He called me over, wanted to give me a little something before I left. Told me I always had a place there. Anytime I wanted to come back, please come back. And then as he started to walk off, he got a little choked up. And I wasn't sure exactly what he said. And years of working for Ed Miller, you don't ask too many questions. I would ask too many questions, get in trouble. That ain't none of your business. This is my place. And I'm like, he knew that I didn't hear. So he turns around and he said, did you hear what I said? And I said, Ed, I think I did, but I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Well, what he had just said, one of his employees goes running across the parking lot in his cowboy boots. And he said he's disillusioned. Well, I knew the guy, and the guy's a little crazy like me, and I'm like, okay. But he said, you're still not getting what I'm saying. Ed Miller did well for himself. Ed Miller knew how to make money, and he did it well. He said he thinks if he can attain what I've got, that he's going to be happy. And then he looked at me with a tear in his eye. He said, it ain't so, Joe. It ain't so. And then he turned around and walked off. Now, before the end of his life, he recognized the riches of heaven. He recognized his wretched soul, and he called out, and the Lord saved his soul. See, he couldn't have bought his way into heaven. That was impossible. He had a lot of money, and so did Solomon, but you can't buy your way in. He has bought that for you. He has purchased that for you. So we need to grasp the gospel, and what Paul tells us time and time again in the New Testament is remember, don't forget the gospel. The gospel isn't just something in the past. That the gospel, yes, saved you, ridded your sin, past, present, and future. But it also allows you to stand today, because sometimes we feel like we're not even sure we want to stand today. Sometimes the weight comes in on the Christian, and we're at a place we feel discouraged, we feel broken, and we want to give up. That's what we want to do. I'm not even sure I want to see another day. And don't say that can't happen to you, because it can tomorrow. But that gospel allows you to stand today and will allow you to walk through tomorrow no matter what tomorrow brings. It's called the power of the resurrection. It's called depending and seeking God and His strength and His might. It killed death. The sting of death is gone. That's what we were just singing about. There is a day coming when we will have no more fear. We will have no more regrets. We will have no more shame, no more guilt. We will have no more sin, no tears, no pain. We're not there yet. But the Lord is saying, I can get you through whatever comes this way. I've got you to heaven. And my friend, I don't care what is weighing on you right now. Give me that weight. Release that weight. Let me have that. Don't walk in guilt and shame. Not only have I forgiven, you're my child. You are my precious child. You were once my enemy. Now you are my child. Somebody say hallelujah. Hallelujah. Or if you're not, you can be today. All right, let's flip over to, go to the end of Ecclesiastes. As we'll go to the end of 11, I'll just paraphrase a little bit. He said, young people, rejoice. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I got an extra hour sleep this morning. I'm not sure that was good. I got up this morning. I was like, maybe that extra hour didn't. I mean, I'm getting there to where it's starting to hurt things that used to never hurt. If it did hurt, I knew what it did, and now I don't even know what to do. And I'm like, how did I do that? I mean, I'm getting there. Not just the teeth, the eyesight, the hearing, I'm getting there. So he's saying, young people, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. He says, I want to fill you with joy. He said, if you're wanting to go on and just party and do your thing, just go ahead and live it up. Just go ahead and live it up. Just party and just go crazy. And that's when we're like, heck yeah, I like this God. That's pretty awesome. He's giving me permission to do this. But he said, well, in the midst of while you're doing that, remember you're going to stand before me and you're going to be judged for everything that you have done. So enjoy your little party. You're still coming home to Father. And you will be judged for that. So that's just kind of a cap of the end of chapter 11. And then in verse 12, he goes on to say, remember, now thy Creator in the days of the youth. Don't forget. Yeah, you're going to have challenges coming before you, but remember who created everything. Remember who sacrificed His Son to give you light, to open up your eyes, to transform your heart. And again in verse 8 of the last chapter, chapter 12, vanity. Solomon says it's vanity of vanity. Saith preacher Solomon, all is vanity. And he goes on and tells you his journey. That I had it all. But I walked away. I walked away from Him. And I lost that pleasure. I lost that joyness. I lost the joy of my salvation, the fullness in my soul. Even though I still had all this accumulated. And he's looking for different philosophies. Even tried religion. He tried it all. And he said it's all vanity. It's all vanity. Get after your Creator. Get after your Savior. The one that came after you. In verse 13 it says, let us hear the conclusion. So he gives the final wrap up. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God. You fear God and you keep His commandments. You keep pursuing Him and your affections are toward Him for this whole duty of man. This is the whole duty. That's why we're here, is to get after God. For God shall bring every work into judgment, every secret thing, every thought, every word spoken and unspoken, whether it be good or whether it be evil. So ultimately we have, as Christians, as sons and daughters, the greatest gift ever. So this isn't about saying, okay, who could I help? There's got to be someone I could help. No, not just someone, everyone. We need to keep sharing the gospel with everyone. This gospel is for you, that the Father is a good Father and He's for you. He's not against you. Not only the unbeliever needs to hear that, the believer needs to rehear that. So we don't journey away as Solomon did and start pursuing his things instead of the Creator of all things. Somebody give me an amen. Amen. I feel like I'm up here by myself, and I know I'm not up here by myself. I know some of you have that yearning now. We get smarter than God. Vicky's talking about the woman that tithed. We want to get serious now? And how often do I talk about money? Not near as often as Jesus did. She brought that up in the children's room. Let's just lay out how much we really trust God. Most of us as Christians don't trust God. We trust our money much more. He's the one that gave you the ability to pay your bill. Thank Him for that. But how much of us, or how many of us, are even trusting Him with a high 10%? We can do some counting, not just in this church, in all our church within our association, and the impact that He could be using with your monies, but He can't. I'm just giving you one example. Kids, that and youth, we were talking about some pretty serious stuff. Relations. And who we start trusting may be more than God. You get what I'm saying? We get smarter than God. Ain't nobody in here will meet with me after church. I need to talk to you. and we're going to walk back to my preacher study, and I'm going to sit in that little hard seat, and you're going to sit in that sweet little recliner, and there ain't nobody in here going to say, preacher, I need to confess something. I'm smarter than God. No one is going to do that. But your life is screaming, you're smarter than God. Because you're not submitting and allowing Him to be the Lord of your life, you're still the Lord of your life. And when we recognize that, God, your word says this. I don't really understand this, but your word says this, so I'm going to walk in this. So I call on your power of the resurrection that I won't turn back, that I'll keep walking through. Most of us in here are never going to see the amazing hand of God because you're smarter than God. All you're going to see is your hand, and it ain't that amazing. But when we're at that place where, dang, He is God and I'm not, and we just submit and surrender, it's amazing what you'll see. Let's use Job for a minute. All of us righteous church folks, we got to get beyond just showing up to church, because He said your righteousness better exceed that of the Pharisees. Are you all right, little man? Huh? All right, let me finish up, okay? Let me finish up. Let's be real quiet. I don't want you to miss this. It says, your righteousness better exceed that of the Pharisees because they're not getting in. And this is guys that tithe everything. This is guys that fasted. This is the guys that did all the religious work. What it's about is submitting and surrendering to the Lord. Our boy Job. I mean, at the beginning of Job, what's it talking about? This man was more righteous than any around. So as far as a church man, a religious man, he was an awesome man, wasn't he? But when it was all said and done, he got a little swagger there. I mean, yeah, he went through devastation, lost his children, lost everything, but he got a little swagger. And he said, Lord, me and you need to have a little talk here. You got some explaining to do. Now, this is our God that we should fear. Because some of us think God owes us an explanation. God don't owe you an explanation. God owes you wrath and judgment. That's what He owes you. But He said, I love you so much, I'm going to take that out on my Son. Somebody say amen. Amen. Ah! All right. Go to Job 38 for a second, because you're going to think I'm making this up. And we're going to land with Job. I promise we're going to land with Job. You know where Job is? Go to Psalms and go left. Job 38. Now this is King James Version. Are you with me? Amen. Job 38. Verse 1. The Lord answers Job. I mean, Job had some stupid friends that come to try to let him know everything was his fault. So he went from bad to worse. But then, you know, you got to give me some answers. And the Lord answered. The Lord said, Job, out of the whirlwind, God said, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? He says, gird up, young. He says, gird up now thy loins like a man. For now I've got some questions for you, and now you're going to answer me. So you see what just happened there? That's the way we operate with God. The way we operate with God is, we talked about Wednesday night, we want Him as our grandfather. Oh, honey, I'm sorry that happened. I must have had my clock on Saturday. It's okay. He does hold us. He does nourish us. He does adore us. But it's all about God's glory, not yours. Somebody stay with me, because if you miss this, you're going to miss God. He ain't doing that with Job. He's like, baby, come here. And he said, Job, you need some answers. Well, I'm going to give you some answers, but first we're going to have a little chat. You're demanding answers like you have knowledge? All right, then tell me, where were you when I hung the stars? I'm the creator of all. You can't count the stars. I've named them all. So come and talk to me. When I laid out creation, the depths of the sea that told the moon, right there's where you'll be. The sun will be right here. The ocean will stop at this point. Can you tell me the depths of it? It's getting pretty serious. It's relentless. I get a little scared just reading it. That's why I step down here. Because sometimes we got this swagger like God owes us something. You don't want what God owes you. What you want is grace that's available right here, right now. What you want is mercy that's available right here, right now. You don't want what you're deserving. So God comes up and He's just leveling the playing field. Honey, I know to everyone around you, you were awesome, and you were compared to them, but now you're comparing yourself to me. Like I owe you an explanation, so we're going to chat. And it's relentless. It don't stop in 38. In 38, Job gets a little breath. God even slows down just a minute and says, I'm waiting for an answer. Where were you there? And you know Job was like, But he doesn't stop. He says, I have more. Let me give you just a couple more. Because some of us are saying, well, yeah, that was Job. But what about me? What about me? My parents, or this guy, or this person at work. You don't know, preacher. You don't have any idea what I've been. And God's saying, I do. Amen. And let me tell you what I've done for you. I took my righteous, holy, pure son who was by myself. Nothing could touch him. And I sent him and slaughtered on behalf of you. And now you're making it about you. See, it's all about him. It's all about my son. When is the last time we pause just to thank him for one another? And you're saying, yeah, but I can't think about knothead over here. This person drives me. Thank him for knothead. He brought knothead in here to teach you some patience. To teach you how to love a knothead. Because guess what? You're a knothead. Compared to Jesus, how much we didn't listen to him, we didn't ask him, and he still loved it. He's teaching you the love of the Father through the Son. Somebody say amen. Amen. Guess who I was talking about? You better not say it. I wasn't talking about anybody, I promise. All right, get this. I'm going to show, go to 40. We're still, God's still bringing questions to him in 40. I'm going to give you 34. Chapter 40, go ahead and look at verse 8. Wilt thou also disannul my judgment, Job? See, we don't like the God of judgment. We don't like the God of wrath. He is the same God of grace and mercy. Nothing changes. He wasn't this perfect, holy judge, and he wouldn't be our God, but he is perfect. He's not saying you need to understand all this. He says you won't understand all this because you're not God. So what you're going to have to do is start trusting me. So we start relenting, we start releasing, we start giving him more and more. So this judgment, will thou condemn me now? Because I'm a holy and righteous judge, are you going to condemn me, Job? Or do you want to be the judge? And we're all church folk good at judging other people, ain't God, do you know what she did? I can't even believe she showed up in this church. Seriously. God's like, I can't believe you showed up at this church. Because I haven't taught you grace. I haven't taught you mercy. I haven't taught you the love of forgiveness. So he says, are you going to condemn me that thou mayest be righteous? Are you righteous, Judge? Or Job? All your neighbors said you were. Even the beginning of the book said you were the most righteous in the land. But now you're being compared to one that's pure, holy, and perfect, which Job was not. Verse 14. Then I will also confess unto thee that thine own right hand can save thee. See, some of us are still here under the gospel. You've heard it 142 times. It's not resonated. It was for everyone else, just like we sang. It's just like that beautiful hymn that we sang. You haven't recognized He did that for me. I'm the wretched one. I'm the lost one. He did that for me. But some underneath the gospel, preacher, chill. Back off. I got this. I will work it out. Not today. Got too much going on today. But I'm going to, well, you're not. You're not. At the end of Job's story, I hope it's going to be as beautiful for your story. He went through suffering. He went through pain. He went through grief. He went through ailment, the boils. But get this. In verse 5 of 42, Job says, I've heard about thee time and time again. I've heard about thee through the hearing, and I did listen in the ear, but now my eyes seeth thee. So what does he do? Verse 6 says, wherefore now I abhor myself. This is Job. And he repents. And he repents. And he repents. Now Job's at a place where I'm yours. You're mine. This is the back end of my life. But if you need to slaughter me, you need to spill my blood, you need to inflict pain upon me for your glory, please do it, Lord. Please. Paul, the most freest man in the world. They could not touch him. Oh, they could beat him. They could throw him in prison, and my boy is running to the altar and saying, allow me to suffer more. Allow me to suffer more, because I know in this suffering, as your son suffered, I will be more in the image of your precious son. My friend, that doesn't come through book knowledge. I'm all about studying. I'm all about studying. But you don't get to where Paul was through study. You get to where Paul was through pain. So don't fear the pain. It's okay to pray that he'll remove the pain. Paul did that one time. This thorn in my side, remove it. He didn't pray that once, not twice, but 3 times. And the Lord said, my grace is sufficient. So I don't know where you are today, but God does. You may not know where you are today, but God does. And you don't need to leave here searching for God. God is here searching for you. Amen. And he's just saying, come. He's saying, come. My son, my daughter. And if you're not my son and daughter, you can be today. So as you stand and you bow your head and you close your eyes, I'm going to just ask that you pray just what I prayed before you even got here. Lord, your will be done. Lord, your will be done. As the song begins.